G'day, Harry Houdini here in Australia, and we are back with another instalment on the little French FT17. Now, a lot of you have been asking me about this kit and wondering when I was going to get some more done. Well, I have been working on it, but there's been so much going on ever since the 100th video and the 1 year celebrations. Anyhow, we are back on it, and I am pleased to say I have got a mammoth amount of work done on this. Right, so the top's all buttoned up now. We had the track links done last time. I've managed to work out how to do this entire suspension. I've got my teeth in there. Oh, God, it's nearly dinner time here. I need to cook my dinner. I'm hungry. Anyhow, I'll get this video done for you first. Now, there's a lot going on in this video, and a lot I'm going to need you to get up to speed with. Now, I'll have this video in two parts. I'm going to send out one part tonight and the other part tomorrow night because it's so huge. Now, the first part, I'm just going to bring you up to where I'm at and show you how I've sealed up the top, eliminated some problems because I changed the order I did the construction from Meng's suggestions. And although that seemed a good idea at the time, and it has its merits and it solved a few problems I wanted, it caused some problems when it came to putting the top of the hull on. I'll show you all that. We'll get through all of that in this video, and then tomorrow night there's going to be another bigger video where I do the entire suspension assembly because that ended up so big and there's so much to show you and talk about that needs to be a separate video all by itself. Okay, so bear with me, watch this one where I basically show you how I cocked up and, as usual, fixed it. And then once you got through that, tomorrow night there'll be an even bigger one about the suspension. Anyhow, here's some shots to get you up to speed and show you where I'm at. So here we are. This is as far as I've got, and I have got that that hull all assembled and buttoned up. Took a bit of swearing and a bit of cursing, and I'll explain why in a sec. Now, the suspension's quite tricky. It's all workable, as are a number of the things in this kit. Now, I followed Meng's instructions only as far as I thought they made sense, and I changed the order of things. And if you'd watched last time, I'd built the hull up and then I'd put the interior in. Well, that caused a few fit problems when I went to put the top on, and let me explain why. Because I found Meng are very good, and they'd really thought things out as far as their instructions go. So let's have a look and see where I went wrong. So here's where I had trouble, and this is step 7. Now, they want you to build the whole of the interior up and then put the sides on, which didn't seem to make a lot of sense to me. Having built a lot of other kits, and especially like Dragon kits, where you've got to be careful, and you look ahead and you think, well, that might not work, and you learn from experience sometimes to diverge from instructions because there may be a pitfall or problem down the track, and to avoid that, you change the way you're doing things. Well, there's no need to worry about that sort of stuff with Meng. If you do build the entire interior up, that's, to me, now, knowing what I know, would be the better way to go. And the reason being is, when you put these sides on, you've only got a couple of tiny little tabs here, which is what they indicate as to how it locates. But actually, there's these two sides here of this dividing wall on the interior, and they click into little slots either side on the walls of the hull. Now, that's not apparent there in the drawing. They don't really sort of tell you that. But if you don't get those clicking into there, this doesn't really fit together, and so it would make a lot more sense, and it would also fit together much more accurately if you did build up this whole interior, cement it all down to the base plate, put in all the parts as they say, build the sides up fully installed with all their little accessories, and then cement everything together. And that's that would give you a slightly better fit than I've got. Oh, there's a bit of a click-clack down there. That's Basque. She's found her rattly ball and she decided now's a good time to make a bloody noise. Anyhow, we'll just put up with that. So yes, in this case, Meng has got steps 1 to 7 correct. I would advise do it in that order. Or like me, you could have a couple of slight fit issues. Now, I got around them. I had a lot of problems when it came to the top here, and everything seemed fine until I put this top section on, because that's when this top section only eyeball fits. There are no locating tabs. So if you haven't got all of these bottom parts absolutely perfectly together. Baska's belting the ball between my legs. She wants some attention. If you haven't got these sides on absolutely millimetre perfect, then when you go to put this top on, it has a lot of little foot issues. So I had to actually jump forward and put the hatches on to try and figure out how this would all go together. And again, I had to sort of jump around in Meng's instructions to correct my own errors. Now, another thing that Meng got right, and that I myself, and probably a few other people too, we kind of got wrong, or at least it didn't seem the right way to do it, is these little clasps here. Now, let me take those tools out. Usually they'll fall out. Yes, fall out along with the muffler, which falls off as well. Nothing's fitted. Okay, so there's tiny little brass straps there. Now, I did what a lot of the other modelers in the group did, and what seemed to make sense is I put all the plastic parts on. Then I came back later and I added my brass photo etch. Well, no. There's, again, a better way to do it, and Meng tells you what to do. So here in step 5, Meng shows you how it's going to go together, right? But they provide these clasps in 2 separate parts, and then that's the photo etch there. W means photo etch for some reason, don't ask me why. But W6 is the little photo etch strap, and then C18 and D3 here, they're 2 plastic parts of this little clasp. Now if you do what they say put C18 on first, cement that to the hull, then you can easily take your little brass part and thread it in that tiny hole there. Bend it shape, you're ready to go. Then with it sticking out, you could take D3, before you cement it to the hull, thread it on the little strap, bend it if you like, or at least have it threaded on, cement D3 onto the hull, and then it's going to be very easy to get the correct shape and bend there. As opposed to what I had to do, and that meant that I had to bend a U-shaped piece of photo etch, try and slide it in, swear, curse, jump up and down, run outside, thump a tree, run back inside, and eventually wiggle those 2 little buggers into place. Luckily there was only 2 of them. So there you go. Now when I buttoned up the top of the hull, I did cement in these rear hatches because there's no motor in this kit, so there's nothing to be seen there, so they went in. Plus I needed that to get the alignment right because of all the problems, as I've outlined already, because of the way that I jumped around in the instructions. So I had to do that. But the front hatches here, well, I want to have them open because I'm going to show off that interior in there, right? So what I've done is I've just put tiny dabs of white glue here on the hinges and put those in, the same with this little flap here. It's just got tiny dabs of white glue which just tacks it into place and can be easily removed with Windex later. And the only reason they're sitting nicely and not flapping around is I've got some Tamiya tape in there. Can you see that? Got a whole piece of Tamiya tape in there which does a couple of things. One, it's going to protect the interior from any spray down the cracks, and 2, it's holding those hatches in place. So that allows me to do all my painting and weathering on the outside, get it all consistent and looking good, and then I'll be able to open those hatches up and hopefully show off that nice interior. And I'll do the weathering afterwards, because I'll be able to lift those hatches right off and go, okay, how much can we actually see? And then I'll just get in very carefully and do a bit of a weather of that interior. So that's my solution. Often in a lot of the tanks, especially with the top of the tank, the cupola and the hatches on the top, I'll do that. They'll simply be white glued in or even just Tamiya taped in place, so that I've got the option later on to remove them and expose the nice interior that I've made. Now I also built the side suspension and wheels up with those track links that I had put together in a previous video. So that's all come together very nicely. Now again, I tried to follow Meng's instructions, having learnt from my mistakes earlier on that really these guys seem to know the order of doing things, best to try and stick with their order, and I did to the most part, but there are a few things that are not evident, and when I build the second side in a second, I'll go through and show you how it's all put together. So one thing I do differently, and that's this little sort of wishbone shaped piece here that holds the front wheel on. Now I cemented that in. Trouble is, when you do that, you've got no way to tension your track links, and mine are loose. And even taking one link out, it didn't work. It became too tight then, and the links just started snapping. So I've got the correct number of links. My problem is I don't have the right tension. So I'm going to have to actually get in there, probably cut that free, and make up a my own scratch little piston rod there, and push this wheel out to get the tension that I need. As you can see, there's sort of a in the real tank, this would be a little tensioner here or a tension guide. And mine's sitting far too far back, which wasn't totally obvious from the kit's instructions. And certainly it will make your life a lot easier if you do not cement that, because you've got quite a lot of play with it. And then you can push this out, get the tension right, and it'll run a lot better. It still works. I mean, everything's workable here. Let's see if I can make this thing do its stuff. You've got to put a bit of pressure on it, but yeah, it does all track back and forth like the real thing. Whoop. But again, I don't have enough tension, so my track links fall off. And everything works. This little suspension here actually works on the spring, and everything's really good. All these little bogies, they all flop around, and you know, it is a beautiful piece of plastic engineering. And it, from all the photos I've seen, this is pretty spot on. Still got a couple of little bits of photo etch to put on there. I wasn't sure about those. There's a little V-shaped piece that goes on here. I thought, why are we going to do that? It's going to hide all those nice rivets. But when you have a look at photos of the real vehicle, there actually is a little flap that goes around there. So I'll add that. Okay, so that's the story so far, all right? I've got that whole top buttoned up. The tracks of the suspension, I've already tried one side, but I found problems and I found things that we're going to have to look out for. So, stay tuned. In the next episode, this is sort of like, dun dun dun, next time on FT17 with Harry. Look, there's heaps more to come. The second part of this ended up so big, it needs its own video, okay? The return of the suspension. Anyhow, look, bear with me. Come back tomorrow night, and well, if you're watching this video years down the track, it's only going to be seconds. You'll be able to flip straight to it. But for us poor bastards actually living in the real world, in the real timeline reality, yes, we're going to have to wait another 24 hours until I release the entire saga of the suspension. All right, well, that's it. That's it for this one. It's goodbye from Australia, and it's hooroo from Harry Houdini.